is 6:36. We will reconvene open session and reportable action taken in closed session.
Nothing to report, Mayor.
Thank you. I invite you to please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance by Vice Mayor Carrillo, and to remain standing for an invocation or moment of silence. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there anyone? Oh, please, thank you.
And this is the greatest world in which to live, the greatest day to be alive, for this is the day the Lord hath made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. Our precious Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for my friends who serve this community so well. Each person that is seated before me has given themselves to serve you, and by way of that, to serve this community. And I pray, Father, that so often they're in positions where there's just a no-win situation, that I pray for your wisdom, your understanding, but then, Lord, also that they may see through your eyes and hear through your ears and speak your words. So, Lord, tonight, as many decisions will be made, I pray that ultimately the impact of those will be positive in its response to our community, and that by the end of this evening there will be a sense that we have all served in a way that has been an enrichment to one and all. So we give you all the praise, and we pray this in the mighty, powerful name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Is there anyone else? If not, you may be seated. Thank you. It pleases me to call Sarai Vargas up. Sarai Vargas began her service with the city of Porterville in November of 2015 as a temporary employee for the Building and Engineering Department. The next year, the city sought out Sarai and offered her another temporary assignment in the Community Development Department to aid the East Porterville Water Project. The project connected East Porterville properties to the city's water system, and the project continued for 2 years. After Sarai's second temporary assignment was complete, she was hired as a clerical assistant 1 with the Community Development Department in October of 2018. In 2019, Sarai transferred to the Administrative Services Department as a clerical assistant 1 and was later promoted to a clerical assistant 2 in July of 2022. During her administration, Sarai has helped coordinate and develop the passport acceptance program to what it is today. The City of Porterville is the only passport acceptance facility in Porterville, processing an average of 1,500 passports each year. She is the go-to person when difficult passport situations arise. Sarai seems to have memorized the passport manual, and no passport question is too difficult for her to answer. Sarai has also taken over the bilingual and biliterate testing for all city employees, as well as many other areas in the Human Resource Office. She has become vital to the administration department's day-to-day operations, from merging background files for the police department to processing personal documents for all of our 600-plus employees. In her free time, Sarai enjoys spending time with her family and friends. She mostly enjoys outdoor activities like walking, hiking, etc. Some of her favorite things include fruits and plants. She especially likes cacti and the beautiful flowers that they have. Please join me in congratulating Sarai Vargas as the Employee of the Month for August 2023.
you, the City of Porterville, for employing me all this time. I'm really enjoying what I do. I like to serve into this community, helping, because they make every day different for me. Thank you to my family, my friends, and coworkers that are here. Thank you all to everybody who made this possible, because it's a good motivation for me to keep. Sorry, I'm so nervous.
You're doing very well.
Thank you very much to everybody.
Thank you. That's exciting. Well deserved. We will now go into oral communications. This is the opportunity to address the council on any matter of interest, whether on the agenda or not. Please address all items not scheduled for public hearing at this time. Unless additional time is authorized by the council, all commentary shall be limited to 3 minutes. You will be asked to state your name and address for the record. I will continue to emphasize that the 3-minute per speaker time period will be adhered to so that City Council in an orderly fashion can proceed with its decision-making responsibilities this evening. Is there anyone that would like to come forward under oral communications?
I don't know if I can make it in 3 minutes in Portuguese, you know. Anyways, my name is Gary Cardoza. I'm here to see what we can do about the conditions of North Main from Henderson to Linda Vista. I live at 23985 Avenue 188 in Porterville. I'm just outside of your city limits, but I use that road all the time. And I'm here because I've watched that road deteriorate, get potholes, and I've seen guys go out and try to patch them, but they keep getting worse and worse. And it's getting more dangerous all the time. It's causing people, because most of the damage is in the wheel lane, on the right-hand side, both north and southbound lanes. And it's causing people, including myself, to drive to the center of the line, on the line, to miss the poles. And I'm also concerned about, not only for myself and my family, but for others. I've met people who do the same thing I did, and I'm waiting for something to really happen seriously. Another problem is it needs to have a turn lane at North Grand, because certain times of the day when Foster Farms has their shift changes or people are coming, that traffic backs up from North Grand past Reed. I know, I've been stuck in it. And there's room there to make a passing lane. The other issue is, and a friend of mine brought this to my attention, and I've seen them, there are about 5 dead trees along that road that are dead standing and just waiting to fall over. And sooner or later it's going to fall and maybe hurt somebody. So those are the things I'm concerned about. I have 4 granddaughters. One of them was here 2 weeks ago to get an award for the swimming, breaking the record. And I'm concerned about them because 2 of them are driving. The third one just got a permit, and they drive that road to come and see us. They drive that road to go to school because they go to Harmony and stuff. So that's why I'm here. I'm hoping that we can get something done. It's some kind of improvements to make it better.
Thank you. Please leave your contact information with staff. Is there someone else that they will take your information? Is there someone else that would like to come forward? Please do so.
Rock Neely, address on record. I've got some documents here for the council. What you're receiving, the first page is the first page of Article 1 of the California Constitution, in which Section 1 of Article 1, the last words of it are and privacy. Nowhere in there does it say that you have to be the age of majority to receive privacy. All persons in the state of California are afforded privacy under the California Constitution. The next document you have there is the guidelines concerning release of information from students' records and what they present to their staff at schools and everything else. Sexual orientation and gender identity are protected privacy rights for students, not to be disclosed without their permission. Not the parents' permission, the student's permission. Guaranteed by this document, also by the next document, which is the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, FERPA, which is a federal law that works right along with HIPAA, which means counselors cannot divulge any of that information without the student's permission, without violating federal law and Title IX. The next document is the study from the Family Acceptance Project at San Francisco State University, talking about how accepting families create an environment where there's less suicide attempts and less completed suicide in the LGBT community. Then the final document are stories of people that came out and were kicked out and were living on the streets, being trafficked, turned into prostitutes, and getting into substance abuse. All things that you, Mr. Meister, and you, Mr. Beltran, claim to be fighting against for children. But your parental rights things put kids into a situation where they're subject to those bad things. The other things with your proclamation, I'm sure Martha did not sign on to that. Who gave you permission to use her name on that proclamation? To me, that was a tragedy. Think before you do things. Think of the entire community, not just you and your church community. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward under oral communications? Please do so.
Be smug. Be smug. Blood will be on your
Excuse me.
Good evening. My name is Scott Bowler with the Porterville Chamber. We have welcomed 2 new businesses to the Chamber, the Mecca and Kids to Dentist. We would like to invite everyone to join us for our upcoming events. We'll have a ribbon cutting for Sequoia Christian Academy on the 17th at 11 a.m. The address is 776 West Grand Avenue. We'll have a ribbon cutting for Kids to Dentist on 24 at 5 p.m. 1150 West Henderson. We'll have a business, finance, and budget management workshop sponsored by SBDC on the 29th at 2 p.m. at the Chamber. You can register online at our website at portervillechamber.org. And as always, we'll have our first Friday coffee sponsored by Imagine Arts Center on 9/1 at Galaxy Theater. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward? Please do so now. Please. How are you this evening? Good. Good.
I'm trying.
You want to lower it?
Super short. I'm Kathy Gwynn, and from Porterville, and I'm helping support a Porterville Spay Neuter dinner. I only have 1 flyer left, so I'm going to hand it out to you so you guys can share it. Inviting you to come to the event, which is this Saturday at Knuckles Ranch from 6 to 10. It is a fundraiser, so tickets aren't free. They're $40 a seat, but if you'd like to come, I'm sure we can find a place for you to sit down and come and join us. We're going to have music, food. It's going to be great, and it's to support the Spay Neuter Clinic, which has probably fixed about 10,000 plus animals in this town and the surrounding community, which is quite an accomplishment to combat the so many animals around. Okay, so there you go. Come if you can. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward? Is there anyone on virtually?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Normally I would wait until other matters, but there is something I'd like to state right now before we go on to the rest of it. First of all, the recent proclamation that is in the newspaper was made by one individual council member, not the city of Porterville. And I want to make it clear that there's a lot of information in the article as it was written that is not correct. It's very simple. And I'm clarifying that right now here on the dais. You know, it was the city of Porterville that proclaimed, it's right, you're right, I didn't sign it because those of you know that it would be one that wouldn't support because it's school district, it's a different jurisdiction, and it would be, if we choose, and I'm not speaking for the others, I'm only speaking as a person, as how I saw it. That would be something that should be addressed separately if these legislations, if these bills go on to the ballot, that we would have that determination on the ballot. It's very simple. You know, what comes from all of this is that the wording will probably have to be changed because it was a format and it was used, and we'll just have to bring it to the table, or it could be changed right now, or
right.
it's even for a discussion.
It's addressed with the city clerk's office. There was a change to the city council procedural handbook. I'm not sure exactly what was the last time or the time before that. But now that individual council members are able to make proclamations, and they are, we need to make sure that the language in the proclamation is clear
and the
about
place to bring that up would be in other matters and ask for
it's not
a vote at the end, correct?
Well, yes, it's true, but I knew that this, I wanted it to be clear that I did allow the mayor to go ahead and, if it was brought up during oral communications, we did anticipate that it would be, that she could make that clarification now rather than waiting to the end of the meeting. But it's just a clerical error that needs to be addressed. So
I think what she's saying is she didn't want to be a part of the proclamation of parental rights, so she didn't want her name on the
well, it's once again, the information was put out there, and I don't want people speaking on my behalf. I have to simply state that the information that was put in the paper was incorrect. It will be taken care of. It's a process in the wording and in the manual, and it's to look toward the future. What is done is what.
Well, and there's an issue. I want to make sure. I mean, to your point, yes. Councilmember Meister, I want to make clear here, though, the problem with the proclamation is it reads like it's a city proclamation, but it didn't come before the city council, and it wasn't approved by the city council. So when we, and it's, so this is just, but it was an internal error with the staff, and I think the language, again, I want to make it clear, too, it wasn't reflected necessarily on you or anybody else that may have signed on to that, because I don't think you guys were aware. I think it was just handed to you because you asked for it.
Yeah, and
it needs to be an individual council member, as a public official proclamation.
Yeah, and I actually requested her name to be off because she didn't want to sign the proclamation. But because of procedure, it went in as I, Martha Flores. And,
yeah, it shouldn't have been. We'll get that corrected.
It will be corrected, and no further comment to this regard, and I really appreciate it. Thank you, legal counsel. So now we'll move on to the reports. This is the time for all committee, commission, board reports, subcommittee reports, and staff informational items. City commission and committee meetings. The Parks and Leisure is on summer hiatus. Library and Literacy Commission is summer hiatus. The Arts Commission. Do we have anyone from the Arts Commission? Is there anyone on virtually?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please allow that person in. Are they on? Hello? Technical difficulty? Does Okay, there is definitely technical difficulty on this.
Emily's not able to participate. Doesn't sound like it.
It doesn't look like it. Has she come in? Mr. Knight? We can't hear Mr. Knight. Is the sound off? It looks like it's.
Mr. Will you give us a test?
Should we go on and bring the reports back? I'm looking at legal counsel. Okay, we're going to go ahead and bring it back. We'll go ahead and move on with the staff informational reports. Any questions on the staff informational reports? Oh, Mr. Knight can't talk either. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Kathy Gwen again from Porterville, and we had a quick meeting, so the discussion is going to be pretty brief. All right, our last meeting was July 13th. The council office here. We reviewed shelter stats for April, May, and June. All is well. It's impressive how a small amount of staff can get so much done within the community. So always got to say nice things about them because they work so hard, especially during this shelter. But they did a great job. So lots of stats, and it's all positive. The numbers look really well. We briefly discussed the spay-neuter ordinances, and it wasn't much to it. One of our members wanted to bring it up. We also we left the commission members as they are, unanimous decision by the commission. We were looking at some of the staggering of the appointed and the voted on positions, so I'm still going to be chair, me. So we have other people that then the same members are still there. So they've been going, and we're meeting quarterly at the moment. When the shelter starts going back online, then we're probably going to be meeting monthly. We had a brief discussion about vaccines. Again, a commission member wanted to talk about it. There wasn't much to say. No actions were done. And I just want to take this. We briefly also discussed that we got up to date about the shelter status, which is really, really, really exciting. So really looking forward to that happening soon in the community. We need to be here in town, so I'm all for that. And also just a final, I need to commend staff and the partnership with actually the city police department. They have been so transparent with us. They've been so helpful and extremely supportive. So just wanted to make sure that you knew that and how we appreciate all the help and assistance and support that we get from them. Okay?
Thank you for that. And that's for the Animal Control Commission. Is there anyone else here for the Youth Commission or to talk? Is anyone here for the Youth Commission or to talk? No. Okay. Now, what do we do with staff informational reports?
Well, I can
Please.
Happy to address them. So there's 3 staff informational reports provided, one being the first being your monthly water conservation status update for the month of July. There was also the biannual, I guess we call it, the new Porterville Rescue Mission update, which provided statuses to their continued improvements, the rescue mission, and thirdly, informational report relative to the Animal Control Commission. So it was at least memorialized in the agenda with regard to the specific recommendations with regards to the name of the commission, the Animal Services Division, as well as the naming, potential naming of the new facility. Happy to answer any questions, any and all 3.
Any questions, any comments? We appreciate
on water,
please.
the water conservation. It showed for this month in June, we used 150 gallons per capita. So per person, we're using 150 gallons. And there's legislation, or actually it's I don't know if it's legislation or declaration by the Governor Brown that's going to push us to 55 gallons a day per person by 2022. Is that so? You know where I'm going with this? Where is, and then reducing to 52.5 gallons per capita per person by 2025, and the 50 gallons per capita by 2030. And we have this. We're using 150 gallons a day during the summers. I just wonder what's our approach with that?
Well, so if you look, so you're in the summer months now with because we are a provider. Any outdoor watering, so there's not a way right now to bifurcate outdoor versus indoor. So what you see reported is total cumulative water divided by population served. And so what you'll find frequently is that during the winter months, in fact, we have met that number in the winter months when outdoor watering is at a minimum or what have you. So with these regulations, there's going to come calculations dealing with, and there's going to be satellite technology looking at what is to the extent of outdoor watering and in these frameworks of this. And then this is also programmatic. So what are you doing in regards as already in place for replacement for toilets, other types of water-saving measures in the building code as well? Was actually kind of surprised it wasn't adopted in the last one, which was gray water tanks. I would anticipate that coming in a future building code update where as new homes are built, gray water tanks become a requirement where your laundry and dishwasher and those sorts of rinse is contained in a gray water tank and then used for irrigation purposes as well. And those are all contributing factors. In addition to, it could even go to separating of outdoor irrigation on separate meters to indoor.
Gotcha. Yeah, I just see some of the legislation, I guess we could call it, coming for Sacramento, and I wonder how we're going to adapt to that, or if we're just going to give in and go with it when we're using 3 times what they're recommending. As far as the declarations of emergency for drought, has it been ended with the state? Did Newsom stop the declaration of drought?
Yes, his
and has the county ended the declaration?
I can't relate at all.
I think they have. Just something that was standing out to me. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay. Then we'll now move on to the consent calendar. All Got it. Oh, who? Okay, what did we get? Mr. Knight?
Just testing. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. You scared me.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Mike, did I do justice, or is there additional pieces that you want to add? I'm just reverberating from or regurgitating what the expert talks about.
I appreciate that. No, you did great. The other way to look at that is the reporting mechanism. So month to month is really not a fair reflection. And just as a city manager, as these regulations get implemented, the importance is separating irrigation from indoor use. Just to reference the last plan that was reviewed for our 2020 urban water management plan, It provided 133 gallons per capita over the 5-year average. So 5-year report, we were actually underneath our target. Our target goal was 179, and we actually surpassed that by 133. So conservation measures are working. The reporting will take place starting in 2024, and that the beginning ratchet down of conservation and indoor use will just continue to be reported, and efforts will have to be implemented to promote additional conservation and awareness with the community. So seeking out voluntary compliance and education for all of our customers to understand the importance of conservation. So good topic.
Thank you.
Did you want to go back and allow Emily to do her report for Arts Commission?
Arts Commission?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. All right.
All right. Should I go ahead and begin?
Yes.
All right. Hello. Good evening. My name is Emily Luna, and I'm the Vice Chairman for the Arts Commission. The Arts Commission's quarterly scheduled meeting on July 25th, 2023 did not have a quorum, so no actions were taken. An existing commissioner was reappointed, and a new commissioner was appointed at the last City Council meeting. One commissioner did not wish to be reappointed, and our next meeting is scheduled for October 24th, 2023. We also have a commissioner and a youth position available at this time. That concludes my report. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, we got all the reports on then. Now, we'll go to the consent calendar. All consent calendar items are considered routine and will be enacted in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of matters unless a request is made, in which event the item will be removed from the consent calendar. All items from the consent calendar for further discussion will be heard at the end of scheduled matters. Council, how do you wish to proceed? Items 1 through 12. If there are any noted conflicts or anything that should be pulled, how do you wish to go? Okay, seeing that it's like, okay. With regard to items 1 through 12, if there are no noted conflicts of interest, no items to be pulled, I make the motion that we accept all items on the consent calendar.
Second.
And we have a second. No further discussion. Call for the vote. Passed unanimous. 4-0. Now we'll move on to scheduled matters.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have two scheduled matters before the council this evening. It's consideration of a status report on the conditional use permit concerning 180 South E Street. Right now, it's going to provide the staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Law. The Honorable Mayor and City Council at its meeting on June 6th of 2022, the City Council adopted Resolution 40-2022, approving a conditional use permit, also referred to as CUP, for the establishment of a nursery located at 180 South E Street. A CUP is required to establish the use of a nursery in the downtown mixed-use zone district, at which 180 South E Street is located. The CUP included several conditions of approval, among which was a requirement for the applicant to submit plans, apply for building permits, and make improvements to ensure the unpermitted improvements meet the current adopted California Fire Code, California Building Code, Porterville Development Ordinance. This included the shade structure utilized for an outdoor growing area. The CUP also included a semi-annual inspection by the building and fire departments due to the nature of the unpermitted improvement that had been made to the facility. The purpose of this report is to update the council on the semi-annual inspection and the progress made by the applicant towards meeting the conditions of approval of Resolution 40-2022. The last update provided to City Council was at its meeting on December 20th, 2022. At that time, staff noted the applicant submitted an application for a building permit and structure repair plans for the facility on September the 7th of 2022. Staff reviewed the submitted plans, provided comments on the required corrections to the applicant on September 27th. In accordance with the CUP, an inspection was performed on October 18th by Chief Building Inspector and Fire Marshal. During the inspection, applicant was advised that the fire extinguishers were out of date and required service. The applicant was found to be operating within the conditions of approval. During this update, and staff met with the applicant as well on December the 1st. to discuss questions that they had in regards to permitting. Since the last update that was provided to the council, the applicant resubmitted plans for review on January 3rd, 2023. Staff reviewed the submitted plans, provided comments of the required corrections on February 9th. The applicant resubmitted plans on March 30th, and those plans were reviewed and provided comments with corrections on May 17th. In accordance with the CUP, on July 31st, the chief building inspector and fire marshal attempted to inspect the facility, but were not able to complete the inspection due to the facility gates being closed with no employees on site. The fire marshal noted in his visual inspection from the public right-of-way that there were vehicles, including commercial trailers, stored under the canopy structure connecting the buildings on site. Staff emailed the applicant informing him of the attempted inspection. The applicant provided an email response on August 1st. The facility is no longer being utilized as a nursery and that it has been listed for sale. The applicant stated in a subsequent email that he did not agree with the fire marshal's reading of the California Fire Code, but the vehicles would be moved from under the canopy structure. Given the applicant has failed to comply with the various conditions of approval and no longer is operating facility authorized under the CUP, the council may consider revoking the CUP. The Porterville Development Ordinance, Chapter 601.10, outlines the process of revocation of approvals. To revoke the permit, the council will conduct a public hearing at which evidence or testimony would be presented in favor and or in opposition to revocation. The council then bases the decision on that evidence and testimony. Revocation of the CUP to establish a use of a nursery in the downtown mixed-use district would not negate the requirement of the notice and order dated January 21st, 2022. Staff's recommendation is that the council consider the report, provide direction, and or take action as deemed appropriate, including but not limited to the setting of a public hearing to consider revocation of the conditional use permit. Staff is available for questions.
Thank you for the report. Council, do you have any questions, any comment of staff with regard to the conditional use permit? Please go ahead, Vice Mayor.
So if we did consider to revoke this, we would have to call a public hearing in order to conduct that? Okay. So tonight we want, we need to provide direction on that if we want to, okay, got it.
That is correct.
Thank you. Councilman Bell, any question, comment?
No, just a brief comment. Thank you for the very thorough report and the updates as this has been going on for some time with not with the applicant not meeting the standards that were required by building codes, and then they're well, they stated that they no longer request that this is going to be utilized for that purpose. So the CUP is probably, my understanding, the revocation would probably be needed. So not necessarily needed, but that would be a step that I'd be leaning towards. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Meister?
I just state that we have gone out of our way to help in this matter, and so I don't know if there's anyone else that's got anything to say. If you do, so we'll hear from you.
Well, wait, this is not a public hearing now. This is not a public hearing.
Apologize, we won't. So, yes, I think we've been working with them and trying to adjust accordingly, and it is where it's at now. So, thank you.
Thank you. Having been involved since the beginning of this and the process, city staff has worked very hard with the applicant, and at the point that it is right now, I'm just going to make the comment to move in the direction to schedule a public hearing for the revocation, and that would be a motion.
Okay, and because I'm requesting the setting of a public hearing, I'd actually request that the specific date be set. Would you like to do it? I think, is there enough time for us to get it noticed for the next meeting, Jason? I think it's 10 days notice required. Oh, that's right. We do have an extra Tuesday, so we do have time. So we
have time.
We have time.
Okay.
Oh, I love fifth Tuesdays of the month.
Okay. So you'll schedule it. You will schedule it accordingly, and it'll be brought back. So that was a motion that was made.
And I'll second.
And a second. No further discussion. Call for the vote. Passes unanimous for 0. We'll now move on to the
Just to add some clarity, since I know we do have people in the audience that might be or interested members in the audience, there will be a public hearing, so you'll have the ability to absolutely comment. You can submit anything in writing before that too, as well as have that opportunity if you need it. If you guys are willing to hang around for the rest of the meeting, which actually isn't too far off, there'll be another public communications, and you are welcome to also speak at that time. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We'll now move on to item number 14.
Thank you, Honor. Final scheduled matter for the council this evening is status and review declaration of local flood emergency. City Council last considered and took action at its meeting of August 1st in making its continued findings. Subsequent to that meeting on August 4th, Governor Newsom issued Executive Order N-7-23, which in it provided additional mitigation in preparation for what's anticipated to be a wet winter. Additional provisions for the Tule Lake Basin, especially given the continued potential threat to Corcoran and Kings County area and eastern western Tulare County. In addition to that, there was a $500 million appropriated towards that effort out of the state budget as part of that. In addition to that, FEMA made a revised its deadline if on the private assistance side, so these are homeowners that or businesses that would have suffered losses as a result of the flood incidents. Even though July 10th was the closing date, they still have until September 1st to file claims with FEMA, and we're also providing subsequent notice to the limited number of folks that were affected in the city to remind them of that. And then lastly, as an update to the status of the Armory, it continues to serve as an emergency shelter with the news of the river that it averages between 20 and 25 individuals and usually between 3 and 5 dogs each evening. So with that, staff's recommendations is that the City Council consider the factors leading to whether there's a continued declaration of local emergency.
Thank you for the information. How does council wish to proceed?
I'd just make a statement. You know, I took in the stance to get away from going through emergency orders. It's something that I believe we need to do, but with a projected wet season in 2024, we know the weak points in our river, and this may need to be in play coming up in the future to address those weak points, being able to use emergency funds and et cetera. So just wanted to make that statement. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comment? Any direction?
Yeah, and I would just make a motion to accept the declaration of local emergency and determine that it's still a need for it to exist.
We have a motion.
I'll second.
And a second. No further discussion. Call for the vote. Passes unanimous 4-0. Thank you. We'll move on to the AB 1234 reports. This is the time for all the AB 1234 reports required pursuant to Government Code 53232.3. At the last City Council meeting on the Homeless Task Force, I stated that I would bring back information. I stated that there was a slideshow presentation that was given, that there was information with regard to housing projects. I received the slide presentation. I asked that it be forwarded electronically and printed for council members so they could have both as informational, and that you would be able to see the number of housing projects in Visalia. And as I said, hard copies were placed in your boxes, and they were sent electronically to you as informational only. Updates from the cities. I was the one that got to report the last time for the meeting, and it was the information as of July 19th. For the Porterville Navigation Center, Kingsview began operating the Porterville Navigation Center on June 30th. The total unduplicated number of assisted individuals since opening, and we opened in 2020, is 2,617 that have come 40 since operated by Kingsview on June the 30th. They continue to serve the 15 emergency beds and the 15 transitional beds. The meals continue to be served daily, 85 to 100 that have come through. RFP for operations began and will be published shortly. I will not go into the link information since Councilmember Belton will be reporting on the link. With regard to the Finca Serena, it is now fully occupied and they have started on the behavioral health services. The RH Community Builders are providing on-site peer support services. Finca Serena continues to work with HHSA to add clinical and substance use services. With regard to the Porterville Police Department Homeless Program, the SMART team continues their efforts to connect with individuals to provide resources. At this meeting, I was pleased to announce for the city that the city had hired Nancy Palafox and joined us as the Crisis Intervention Specialist. Then a highlight on the litter abatement program. In addition to employing, all participants attended several trainings, including working and interview skills
KTHA felt canceling the event was a greater good to help keep regular services operational for those residents there. The next Link Committee meeting will be held September 6th at 3 p.m. across the street at the Centennial Conference Room. That's my report.
Thank you. What a detailed report, but I have a question, and it goes back to the fundraiser?
Yes.
Is that also in conjunction with the coat drive?
It is.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, the question that I have, on that day of the fundraiser, is that where the coats get delivered, or can the coats be delivered ahead of time somewhere?
I will inquire on that, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
That was the only
That will be
question.
my next report.
That's the only question I had. That was such a detail. I was wanting to know about the coats, too. Thank you. All right. The Eastern Tule Groundwater Sustainability Act. Mr. Knight, I see that you're on. Can I hear you? Can you hear me? Can you talk?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Wonderful, yes.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I attended, along with Councilmember Wyrock, the Eastern Tule GSA Board of Directors meeting on Thursday, August 3rd at 2 p.m. at Council. The council chambers there at 291 North Main. The meeting is still hybrid, so a portion of attendance is in person, and others participating are via Zoom. In that meeting, we went through a number of consent calendar items, approving the minutes from June 1st and June 15th, going over and a ratification of bills and expenditures, entertaining an engagement letter for an independent audit for 22-23, also reviewing draft budgets for 23-24, and taking a report from Four Creeks to provide ratepayer data and data sets for a public hearing coming up October 5th, which will also be conducted at City Hall and Council Chambers. Out of that ratepayer discussion, the new 23-24 water availability has been released, and that number is composed of 0.84 for the available precipitation and 0.15 for sustainable yield, and that brings a total to available groundwater pumping to 0.99 acre feet per acre. And that was discussed at the meeting as well, along with the action items, and also received a report from Four Creeks in the accounting and invoicing of participants within the Eastern Tule GSA. Other items were just receiving reports from stakeholder committees and the Finance Committee and ongoing coordination efforts. And the next meeting is scheduled for September 7th at 2 p.m. at Council Chambers. Again, hybrid meeting in person and on Zoom. Happy to answer any questions Council may have.
Any questions? Any questions? Thank you for a report and that we could hear you. Like that. Okay. Moving on with the Social Services Transportation Advisory Committee. Vice Mayor, and then if you want, you can just go on to Calvans too.
Yes, I'll update on that. So the STAC, which is the Social Service Transportation Advisory Council, is one of the advisory committees that I serve on as the TCAG Transit Rep. So this council meets quarterly. This meeting was held on August 8th in Visalia at the TCAG office. In person, 10 to 12. So we, Mr. Lawless and I traveled over, and we had approval of the previous minutes from May 9th. And then we had an election of the chair and vice chair. So the chair is Rebecca Donabed and vice Norma Verduzco. We had a presentation, actually really good presentation on serving riders with disabilities. It was a slideshow, so I hope that we're able to get a copy of that. It's considerations on for drivers and staff to be trained on serving riders with disabilities, elders, and just different aspects of customer service and treatment, and just things to be aware of to provide better service. So both the Visalia and TCRTA and TCAG reps were all there and requested the presentation so that it can be repeated at the different agencies. The next item, we discussed micro transit updates. There was a lot of questions on that because, of course, you know, that's a desired service in all the areas. So the best update we got was that it's just going to roll out in phases, and everything was kind of to be determined, including timelines and where it's going to start and costs and things like that, all the major concerns. So basically just we didn't receive a date or timeline, just that it will be rolled out in phases, and the advisory council will be updated as they get information. The next update was on transportation planning and coordination. This covered the Cross Valley Corridor phase and the operations plan. And then TCRTA branding and outreach, they gave an update basically on just the branding, the logo, and where they're at. They didn't share anything at this meeting as far as physically showing how it looked and what the status was, just that it would be coming soon. And then they discussed a zero emissions rollout plan. Sounded a little bit complicated, so they're going to provide more information at the next meeting to give a little more detail, more specific information. The good thing about this advisory council is there are some really good questions and a lot of pressure to get information. So I think it'll be good to bring back some more details on that. And then this is a standing agenda item, is just Visalia Transit updates. And they did talk, that was a little bit extensive because they did get questions on the strike and actually had a lot of comments around, and had said they had just had a city council meeting, I think prior, and just how it affects not just the riders and the drivers, obviously, but the small businesses in the area. So after that, we received a brief update from TCRTA just regarding services and kind of moving forward there, where they're at. And then there's an opportunity for social service provider updates, whoever's in attendance at that time. That was it for the meeting. The next meeting is scheduled for November 14th. It'll be held also in Visalia. And that concludes my report for STAC. And then I would just like to state for Calvan's board, this is the board retreat, and I didn't attend. It was held in Sacramento, but they did have the meeting held virtually, Zoom option. So I did attend that, but I did not bring my notes. So I like to push the Calvan's board August 8th report to the next meeting. Yes, please. Okay. And that concludes that.
Thank you. I bet being on these committees have been eye-openers for you. Educational. Thank you. The next one on the Tulare County Water Commission. It was canceled, and I'm looking at the email because of lack of business, and I have a hard time with that because there's several issues that could have been addressed, not only at the Water Commission, but in other areas. So just know that the next scheduled meeting is for Monday, September 11th, but it was canceled due to lack of business. Moving on, we'll now go into oral communications. Is there someone that would like to come up under oral communications?
Hello, my name is April. I recently have gone to the Porterville City Library, and I inquired to see if they have any free COVID testing available for the community or masks. They seem to have had none in stock available. And currently, there is a surge of COVID cases, as we just had a council member admit that one of the meetings was canceled recently because of a COVID outbreak in the community. And so retail, if you were to go to like a place like CVS, 2 tests, rapid tests, are going to cost our civilians about like $25. If you go to Costco, that's 5 tests for $5. I've been going around to the local libraries in the Tulare County system to see if they're offering any free COVID tests. There are no free COVID tests open to the community. So I'd like to ask you all if you can please consider allocating some money and resources to provide free COVID tests for our low-income community members. But also high quality masks, because I think the most highest quality masks I've seen were cloths or loose surgicals, and those were from the Lindsay and Tulare libraries. So I'd like to ask you all if you may please consider to allocate some funds to help your low-income community members afford free COVID resources. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward? Okay, is there anyone on virtually?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. We'll now move on to other matters. Councilmember Beltran?
I'd like to thank Pastor Mark Pitcher from the Porterville Nazarene Church for giving an invocation. It's been a little bit since we've had somebody do that, so I appreciate you spending your evening with us and hope you learned some today. It was a great start to the school year. I didn't see any major incidents as far as accidents or pedestrians, and so just continued prayers over our schools and administrators and teachers and parents, as every school year is a little difficult, and just hopefully it's smooth sailing. There's a lot of back to school nights. I know I attended one last night. So just continue prayers over our schools and students and staff. I just want to give a brief comment to the proclamation that I signed. Parental rights is very, very important for the government or any other entity to step in and feel that they are the authority over one's child. I'll take a stand for those parents. There are laws and other ways, if there's an issue going on, that can be addressed. But as far as discussing certain things with children or ignoring biological parents' rights, I will always stand for that. And I'm educated on the issues surrounding lots of issues in our society today, but I will always steadfastly believe that parental rights are a God-given right, in my belief. And I only speak for myself, but as an elected representative, there's a lot of support for that, and no one is swaying me to do one thing or the other. That's something I stand and believe for, and I chose to. So we can disagree on that, and we have further discussions, which I'm always happy and welcome. But that's something that no one is going to budge me from. So I really appreciate the dialogue and the feedback. It's always welcome. But that is something I will, being a father of 5 and having 6 grandkids, parental rights are a must in our society today, where there's a lot of overreach, especially by government, and that's something I wholeheartedly believe in. That's why I signed my name to that paper. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Meister?
Well, I want to thank Gary Cardoza, who came in and spoke about Old Main Street and some of the potholes and the issues. He reached out to me, and I requested that he come in and speak to us, and he did that fantastically, and really appreciate him coming in and being civil and talking about a matter that needs to be addressed. I met this last week with the Little League over at the Burton School District. We actually are in a contract with the school district and the Little League. Their complaint is that the fields are dead, there's sprinkler heads sticking up, and it's a hazardous situation. I'm coordinating with the superintendent and a board of supervisors to get together and try to make those fields the best baseball fields in the valley is what I'm pushing for. And baseball is known as America's pastime sport, so we want to have the best for our children. I also received a call this last week about the intersection at Mulberry and Newcomb, with school starting up, kids walking across the crosswalk there on their phones, not paying attention. We are going to be building a stoplight there coming next summer, which is exciting. I actually talked with the principal, and I talked with a board of supervisors for PUSD and I requested that they put a crossing guard there. So hopefully we see something happen. We had the park master plan, which is a lot of fun. You see all the great work that Parks and Leisures went through to get this in front of us and staff here. And, some of my comments for the master plan for the city of Porterville, it's hard to go forward building new parks when our parks are overran as they are, right? We need to rescue our parks. We have squatters and transients that live at our parks, and so there's certain things that we need to do to rescue them. I've also requested that we get towards softball, baseball complex out at the sports complex, 4 fields with a concession stand. I think would be really great for our community. I participated, Del Oro Water District. I received a phone call from Corey Wells. He's in Springville Chamber. And Del Oro Water District, which is up above Lake Success, it's the Montgomery Ranch area, River Island area. They had 5 of their wells washed out during the flood season. And so there's a situation up there where a lot of residents are without water. And so Corey reached out to me and said, is there anything the city could do? Which then I got with Michael Knight and John. And about 8 years ago when we went through our drought on the east side, the state provided a well. It's called the City County Well. And we're able to draft 3 million gallons a month from this well. And so Porterville was able to provide those services. I reached out to Senator Grove, Assemblyman Vince Fong, and our county supervisor, Dennis Townsend. And we came together and trying to get Del Oro to bring that water up the hill. The issue is they're worried about cross-contamination. We'll see what happens with that in the long run. Senator Grove was able to lock in 35 pallets of water, which was trucked in, and it was a lot of fun. I went up there Friday with him, and we handed out water to the local residents. It was a lot of fun, a great thing that happened. As far as the proclamation of parental rights, we have a complete abuse of power coming out of Sacramento and in our school districts. Our schools are no longer public schools. They are state schools. It's just a fact. If you push back at the board level, they will remove funding. We saw Newsom do it to Temecula. We see it going on up in Chico. Currently in our school district, they will give surveys to our children without our permission, even though that you've already identified what sex your child is. They will go and do a survey on your child of what pronouns they identify as. That's a violation of parental rights. If your child identifies as something else, they will not notify you. That is also a violation of parental rights. The proclamation I put forth clearly states that the child is not a mere creature of the state. And I proclaim that. And yes, it's not a city document. It is my proclamation. It was an honor to have Ray sign on with me. And I'm going to continue to fight for parental rights. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor. Yeah. So I'd like to start with acknowledging and congratulating our Employee of the Month. I love hearing the stories, the personal and professional experiences, and then just hearing their excellence as an employee here. So wanted to congratulate her one more time. The next thing, Mayor, thank you for this. You did say you would share this, and thank you for the PowerPoint from the task force on homelessness. I think this discussion on homelessness is challenging, but I do appreciate that all that the city, prior to my term, and ongoing work from the staff has done to keep us moving forward and being as innovative as we can with the challenges that we face. And then the last thing, I just wanted to acknowledge Parks and Leisure also. Just, I notice and recognize and share all the events that they constantly post. I think the city does excellent at with social media and noticing, trying to notify the community of all the different things that are going on. throughout summer and then the school year, and also working on that master plan and hearing all the good ideas that people are suggesting. And then just acknowledging the library services. I know that the community is really looking forward to the library. I'm looking forward to our next library facility planning meeting this week with Mr. Moore, and just acknowledging the temporary library right now and what we can offer and what we have been offering. Thank you for your comments tonight on those requests that you had. But I do want to acknowledge that I know of a lot of children and families that have been taking advantage of those services throughout the summer and are really grateful for the meals and different things that have been provided. And I'll end there. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. It has come to my attention that somebody is celebrating a birthday month. She extended it from the day to the month. That has been extended. She's sitting right next to me, okay?
Well, what I was going to say is, she.
And that I told her, why the month? Continue it. Going. Mine's in June. I'm still celebrating.
What I was going to say is, you know how she spent her birthday. You heard about the SS TAC meeting.
Yes,
That's how
yes.
she spent it.
Yes, yes. One of the things I'd like to say is I attended First Friday Coffee, and Lita Verduzco was there representing the city. It was Bristol Hospice, who used to be Optimal Hospice. It was very educational because when you hear hospice, a lot of people think it's end of life, and that's pretty much that they offer a lot of services. It's for the quality of life and to help a person, and I myself had to use hospice at one time in a decision, but that was for the end of life decision. And it was one of the best services that a person can expect because it relieves you, and it could be, if you don't it was there to provide information to the community. So that was good. Then on the 9th, I attended the Tulare Kings Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Ambassador Luncheon. The guest was Rosalinda Alexander, who came to speak on her nonprofit, Green Rose Productions. That nonprofit organization is focused on disadvantaged students, developmentally disabled, and she shared the successes. And I did attend one of the events where it's visual and the performing arts, and they were fantastic. So that's all I have to say on that. There was also a highlight. Cal STA, the California State Transportation Agency. Mr. Lawless and I were invited on the 10th of August. We met with the Secretary Omishikan and the Caltrans Director, Tavares, with TCAG at this meeting. And it was wonderful. We talked about the TCAG accomplishments and where we needed help, and then with Caltrans providing assistance and where they could provide assistance. While we were having this meeting, Congressman Jim Costa dropped in and pretty much had a brief conversation. He remembered Porterville. That's all I have to say. So that was the conversation that we had at this meeting with the project with other city officials and board of supervisors was lengthy in comparison to when we go to Washington, D.C. and we lobby, and everything that we say, we have to say it in 10 minutes before we move on to the next one. So this was good, it was beneficial, and it's the first time we have had a representative in Tulare County. So we were very grateful to Secretary Omishikan for being here. And I just want to emphasize, we continue to work with the officials. Mr. Lawless and I will be speaking to representatives from Congressman Dalladeo's office just to highlight our priority projects. They called out, they reached out to us, and we said, absolutely, we'll meet with them. And also the representatives from Governor Newsom's office, they also reached out, and we're going to have a conversation with them to specifically talk about Porterville and our projects and where it is we're going and where it is we'd like to seek assistance. Mr. Lawless.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just to go back and kind of points relative to the AB 1234. So Noah Whitaker is going to be here as a follow-up to the prior council meeting in terms of that day at the Navigation Center, perhaps 2 meetings ago. So he'll be here at the September 19th meeting talking about continued programs as it relates to, and he serves as the county's homeless services coordinator. So he's in charge of all funding and programs administered by the county of Tulare. So it should be an informational, very informational session. Appreciate Claudia making arrangements to make that happen. So, and then secondly, darn it. Oh, it had to do with the link. Oh, thank you. Corporal Stark is here. You were so yeah. So I'm like, I know it. So I just want to say, Corporal Stark, thanks for this is now the officer assigned in the SMART team. So
Wonderful.
I appreciate doing that. And while we're on PD, just want to say thanks. What a great job on National Night Out. Great event it was. That I was showing with Corporal Stark. He was dressed a little bit differently, but I saw him out there previously. So on that. And then coming up, when you were speaking about birthday months, there's others celebrating birthdays, I believe.
Oh, my God.
I thought that may be where you were going with this, but you're going to have to share months. Or maybe it's through the 15th and then after the 15th. I don't know how that.
Oh, come on.
Tomorrow.
Happy birthday.
I will be 37.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow. So is it going to be all month long? Carried over to next month?
My family doesn't do that. I don't even know if I get a birthday.
So happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
So the Porterville Fire Department will be having its badge pinning at 3 o'clock here on Thursday. Look forward to that. We have a study session coming up. This is a 5 Tuesday month, so we'll be doing that as well. And other than that, it's been a pleasure this evening.
Oh.
Evening.
Yeah, it has. Okay. Claudia, it's good to see you back, and you had a wonderful vacation. Okay, reality hits in. Patrice, good to have you back, too. And wonderful. Jason, anything you'd like to say? Julia.
I'd like to talk for 41 more minutes.
No, you don't get that, okay? Cheyenne, thank you for all your work. It is appreciated. And with that note, it is 7:58. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Thank you.